everyone. Welcome back to In the Leadership Lounge with Dr. Davis. The Leadership Lounge is for all leaders, no matter what sector you're in, no matter what stage you are in your leadership career. Because here we talk about insights that maximize our leadership. If you're a leader who loves to evolve, who wants to elevate your craft and avoid performative leadership, you're in the right space. Today's episode is entitled Leadership is for Learners, Not Knowers. You see, the most dangerous thing that can happen to leadership is not ignorance. It's not knowing. It's actually certainty. Because certainty as a leader can get you into a space that I like to call the knower's trap. The knower's trap is where we can get so attached to the right answer, or so attached to something that we know, or so attached to the way we're accustomed to doing things that we fail to stay open. We fail to stay open to other perspectives, new ways of doing things. That knower's trap is the most dangerous place that we can be in as a leader. You see, because when we get so focused on being right, what's at stake? Our people, our team, our vision, and our impact is at stake when we fail to stay open. I love the show Married at First Sight, and Pastor Cal, who's the expert there, has said something that has stuck with me. He said, do you want to be married or do you want to be right? And I use that everywhere, but especially in my leadership. When our team used to meet, I would say, hey, do you want to be right or do you want to be impactful? Do you want to be right or do you want to be encouraging? I asked myself, do you want to be right or do you want to empower this other leader? Encourage this other leader? Do you want to be right or do you want to get to this goal together? Right? So when you get so stuck on being right, there's just too much at stake. Because learners, they're listening to understand, whereas knowers are listening to defend. And where that rub is that you start to really focus on ego more than you do on impact. So the knower's trap is one of the most dangerous places that a leader can be. And the more advanced you are in your leadership career, the more dangerous it is for you to be in the knower's trap. I'm not saying that knowledge is not important. What I'm saying is that as you progress in your leadership, learning becomes more important. There's always a balance. There's always a balance between knowledge and being able to learn. Earlier in your career, knowledge had a greater weight because it helped build your credibility. It helped to get you here. And that's what's the problem for most of us in the knower's trap, is that this worked for us before, right? This got me to where I am. Me and all of my knowledge got me to the space that I'm in. But the problem here is that although it did get you to the space that you're in, as you progress in your leadership, the only way to elevate higher than where you are is to start to tip those scales back towards learning being more important. Not saying that knowledge, you don't have it. Not saying it's not important, but learning needs to be the most important thing that you focus on as a leader, because people, the vision, the impact is depending on you to be able to evolve with the needs, to be able to evolve with your team. In order to do that, you have to remain open to connection. And what that means is sometimes then you have to let go of the control of everything that you know and used to do, and be open to what it is that is in front of you. The gems that you're getting from people that you don't expect, the new perspectives that you would have never considered in a million years. That's where leadership gets to expand and go past stagnation. Teams that are stuck, it's probably because that leader is in that knower's trap. How do you know that you're in the knower's trap? Let's go through that. Let's dig through that just a little bit. So the knower's trap, you know that you're there when you're really good at explaining the vision, but maybe the rest of your team isn't. Or you're really good at explaining the vision, but you have a difficult time hearing feedback about what's not working. You're probably in the knower's trap. Another way that the knower's trap is that you have all of the answers, but avoid some really tough questions, right? Avoid asking questions. You avoid the questions from some of your stakeholders. That's another indicator that you're in the knower's trap. Another one that's big for a lot of us, including myself, is rushing to solve a problem yourself. But you're a leader, right? You're leading people, or you're leading projects, you're leading teams. If you're doing that and you're rushing to solve all of the problems, you're probably in a knower's trap. Because remember, our biggest responsibility as leaders is to influence others. So if you have all of the answers, if the knowledge sticks with you, if the systems only work if you're leading them, you're probably in the knower's trap, because the people that you're leading aren't leading with the same confidence that you feel when you walk in to answer the question. That's the knower's trap. And the knower's trap is not a space that we can afford to be in as leaders. We have too much to accomplish. If the vision was given to us, we are responsible for carrying out that vision. And that vision is under attack by us leaders being knowers more than learners. How do we get out of the knower's trap? It's really important that once you recognize it's not all doomed, once you recognize that you're in the knower's trap, you can get out. And 3 practical ways to be able to get out of the knower's trap. The first is audit your patterns. None of us are perfect. We all fall into the knower's trap at some point in time. Audit your patterns. Where were you this week? Were you in a meeting? Were you in a presentation? Where were you? Did you do a lot of talking, which is typically a sign of knower? Did you do a lot of listening? If you're doing more listening than talking, you're probably leaning toward learner stage. If you're doing a lot more talking versus listening, you're probably in the knower stage. And I'm not saying that that's blanket across the board, but that is the indicator. Audit your leadership patterns. Are you answering the questions? Are you the one creating all of the solutions? Do you feel as though that your way is the only way? So even if your team comes up with solutions, you prefer the way you thought about the solution? Because remember, as a leader, you're influencing others to lead confidently. And if you're leading with your solutions or your manner of the way that you approach things all of the time, you're really not giving your team the space to lead with that same confidence. They need practice to do that, and not practice just carrying out what it is that you have to offer. So audit your leadership patterns so that you can identify where is my best place that I could be able to move forward tomorrow better. Another way is to ask more questions, lead into curiosity. We assume a lot as leaders, mainly because we acquired a lot of knowledge over the years. So we tend to make assumptions more. And I'm inviting you to lean into curiosity more, ask questions. Even if you think you know, a good practice is to ask questions. A team missed a deadline or missed a milestone, and you may be able to utilize your data to identify a reason, but there's nothing more important than your people if you're a leader. So ask them, were there barriers that I didn't anticipate? Is there something that I didn't know that came up for you? Ask questions. That's one of the most simplest ways you can be able to dig yourself out of the knower's trap, is by asking questions. And lastly, the last little tip is to pause and reflect before you go to react. And last but not least, one of the greatest tools to remaining in learning mode is to be in a space of reflection. So give yourself opportunities to reflect. Take your team meeting and watch it back. Did you do more talking? Right? That's a great way to be able to audit your patterns, as we spoke about earlier. Did you do more talking or listening? Be able to reflect. As you walk into the meeting, set an intention. Today, I want to ask more questions than provide solutions. And then, like I said, tape it. Did you do that? If you don't want to tape it, ask your team for feedback. Did I ask more questions today or provide more solutions? Put yourself in that reciprocal state where you are able to reflect so that you can move forward better. In the Leadership Lounge, we meet every 2 weeks. Over the next 2 weeks, I'm challenging you. Audit your patterns. Ask more questions. Give yourself intentional spaces to reflect on your practice so that we can lead better. Because remember, our visions depend on it. Our teams depend on it. Our impact depends on it. If you're in leadership, you're not here on accident. No matter what your path was to get here, you are here. And it's really important for us to lead the charge with the gravity of the responsibility. So remain open. The connection is bigger than our ego. Remain open. Be a learner versus a knower. Learners listen to understand. Knowers listen to defend. We have too much to accomplish together to let our ego get in the way. Until we meet in the Leadership Lounge again next week, please please, please, please take me up on that leadership challenge. And then drop us a note. Drop a comment under the podcast. How did you intentionally lead into learning over these next 2 weeks? I love to be able to learn from you. Until next time, lead from within.
Yeah.